the Chiefs are facing the Chargers again in prime time. This time, the Chargers might be missing one of their top offensive players, and their defense struggles against the run. This could be a big chance for the Chiefs to shine with their strong running game. But first, let's talk about something interesting. Could the Chiefs bring back a familiar face? Yesterday, UCLA announced they were parting ways with offensive coordinator Eric Bieniemy after just one season. Some reports called it a firing, but his agent said it was planned. According to his agent, Bieniemy wanted to stay active while still being paid by the Commanders. He only joined UCLA for a year to stay busy before returning to the NFL in 2025. Here's the strange part. Bieniemy signed a 2-year deal with UCLA. If he only planned to stay 1 year, why sign for 2? Either way, UCLA didn't perform well under Bieniemy. Out of 134 college teams, UCLA ranked 117th in total offense, 126th in scoring, and had one of the weakest rushing games in the nation. They ended the season with a disappointing 5-7 record after having winning seasons for the past 3 years. On top of that, UCLA moved from the Pac-12 conference to the Big Ten, which likely made things tougher. Some even say Bieniemy was set up to fail no matter what. Despite all this, Bieniemy is still loved by Chiefs fans in Kansas City. Could we see him return to the NFL sooner than expected? Every day, I see comments from fans saying, "Fire Matt Nagy and bring back Eric Bieniemy." But let's be real, Nagy isn't getting fired mid-season, especially when the team is 11-1. Still, what if the Chiefs brought Bieniemy back as a consultant to help finish the season? Chase Daniel, a former NFL QB who played for the Chiefs, said, "You already know where EB is going. Nagy came back home. Now it's EB's turn." Of course, that's just his opinion, but fans want Bieniemy back because they believe the team was more disciplined under his leadership. They say his tough, no-nonsense style balanced out Andy Reid's friendly and relaxed approach. When Bieniemy was the Chiefs' offensive coordinator from 2018 to 2022, the team averaged nearly 30 points per game each year. Since he left, that number has dropped. 21.8 points per game in 2023 and 24.1 points per game so far this season. In 2022, the Chiefs ranked second in red zone touchdown percentage under Bieniemy. Last year, they fell to 19th, and this year, they're at 24th. Definitely not great. Of course, it's not as simple as blaming the offensive coordinator. Andy Reid is still the mastermind behind the offense, but the drop in points and red zone efficiency is hard to ignore. In my opinion, why not bring Bieniemy back as an assistant or consultant? It wouldn't hurt, and if Andy Reid wants him to stay next season, they can figure that out later. Right now, the Chiefs are focused on locking down the top seed and chasing a third Super Bowl ring in a row. What do you think? Should Bieniemy return? Or do you think the Chiefs are fine without him since they've already won back-to-back Super Bowls? Moving on, let's talk about Travis Kelce. He's officially been named the Chiefs nominee for the Walter Payton NFL Man of the Year award. This is the league's most prestigious honor, recognizing players who excel on the field and make a big impact off it too. Every NFL team nominates one player each year for the Walter Payton NFL Man of the Year award. The player with the most votes by January 6th will win, and their chosen charity will get an extra $35,000 donation. You can vote for Travis Kelce on X, formerly Twitter, by commenting or retweeting a post with his account tagged and the hashtag #WPOI challenge. You can also vote at NFL.com/Man of the Year. Kelce has been doing incredible work in Kansas City for over 10 years through his 87 and Running Foundation, his partnership with Operation Breakthrough, and more. The last Chiefs player to win this award was Brian Waters in 2009. Let's hope the power of Chiefs Kingdom, and maybe even Swifties, helps Kelce win this year, so go vote now. Chargers versus Chiefs preview. Now let's talk about Sunday night's game. The Chargers might be without their most important offensive weapon, other than Justin Herbert, and the Chiefs are strengthening their offensive line. This should give the Chiefs a big advantage, especially in the run game. But before diving deeper into the game, let me share some of my pick'ems for this matchup. I'm using Underdog Fantasy, one of the best and easiest platforms for fantasy sports. Right now, if you sign up using my code HBTC, you'll get up to $1,000 in bonus cash and a free Justin Herbert gimme pick for your picks. Here are my 3 picks. Cameron Dicker, the kicker. He's made at least 2 field goals in 7 of the last 8 games, including 2 games with 3 field goals. With the Chiefs' defense ranking 10th in red zone defense, I'm taking the higher on 1.5 field goals made. Travis Kelce. He always steps up against the Chargers. In their last game, he had 89 receiving yards. Since 2020, he's topped 64.5 yards in 6 of their 7 matchups. I'm taking the higher on this. Justin Herbert. He's only thrown 1 interception all season, and the Chiefs' defense has only 6 interceptions this year. I'm taking the lower on 0.5 interceptions. If you're not sure about the Justin Herbert interception pick, don't worry. With any new sign up on Underdog Fantasy, you can swap it out for Herbert's gimme pick, which is the special for this week. I placed a quick $25 on these picks for a chance to win 5.4x my money while supporting the channel. You can either use my picks or mix them up with other football games this weekend. Just click the link in the description or use the code HBTC to claim your free pick and up to $1,000 in bonus cash. Chargers offense versus Chiefs defense this Sunday. The 1 Chiefs will face off against the 8, 4 Chargers at Arrowhead Stadium. The Chiefs are currently favored by 4 points, thanks in part to their home field advantage. The Chargers have improved a lot since last season when they finished with a disappointing 5-12 record. Under Jim Harbaugh's leadership, they've turned things around and are now on a roll. They've won 5 of their last 6 games, with their only loss being a close one to the Ravens. After starting the season at 3-3, they found their rhythm and now hold the 5th seed in the AFC playoff race. The Chargers are hoping to even the score with the Chiefs on Sunday Night Football. In their first matchup back in Week 4, the Chargers were dealing with several problems. Both their starting tackles were out. Justin Herbert had an injured ankle and couldn't move well, and star defender Derwin James was suspended. This time, it's a different story. Both tackles are healthy, Herbert is back to full strength and running effectively, and Derwin James will be playing. In fact, James just sealed last week's game against the Falcons with a clutch interception. This game is shaping up to be a much closer and exciting rematch. In their first matchup this season, the Chiefs beat the Chargers 17-10. The Chargers had a strong start, going up 10-0 in the first quarter, partly because of a Chiefs fumble by Carson Steele and an interception by Mahomes on the next drive. But after that first quarter, the Chargers couldn't score again. The Chargers' struggles included 6 punts, a missed 55-yard field goal, a failed 4th down attempt at the Chiefs' 3-yard line in the 4th quarter. The Chiefs' defense held the Chargers' lead running back J.K. Dobbins to just 2.3 yards per carry on 14 attempts. However, Dobbins is out for this game after being placed on IR with an MCL injury, leaving Gus Edwards to lead the Chargers' rushing attack. Last week, the Chargers ran the ball only 17 times, and Herbert had a quiet game, going 16 for 23 with 147 passing yards. That game was unusual, though, as the Falcons' Kirk Cousins threw 4 interceptions, giving the Chargers short fields to work with. Ladd McConkey, the Chargers' top receiver, had a great game last week, catching 9 passes for 117 yards. In their Week 4 game against the Chiefs, he was also their top target, catching 5 passes for 67 yards and a touchdown. The problem? McConey left last week's game in the third quarter with a knee injury and hasn't fully recovered. He's also dealing with a shoulder issue, but the knee is more concerning since receivers rely on quick cuts and route running. If McConey plays, he won't be at 100%. This is good news for the Chiefs, whose secondary has had some struggles. McConey is Herbert's favorite target by far, with 81 targets this season compared to tight end Will Deely's 53 targets. If McConey can't play or is limited, it'll be a huge blow to the Chargers' offense. On the defensive side, the Chiefs will likely start Joshua Williams opposite Trent McDuffie at cornerback. Williams stepped in for Nazeeh Johnson during the Raiders game, and while Johnson will still play in some packages, it seems Williams will get the bulk of the snaps. The Chiefs' defensive line also looks promising. With Charles Omenihu back, the D-line has improved significantly. Omenihu had the highest pressure win percentage last week, which should free up stars like Chris Jones and George Karlaftis to create even more havoc. Interestingly, both Herbert and Mahomes have been sacked 32 times this season, tied for 7th most in the league. Herbert has been sacked 9 times in the last 2 games, while Mahomes has been sacked 10 times. If the Chiefs' D-line can capitalize on this, along with some well-timed blitzes by Steve Spagnuolo, they could make Herbert's day very difficult. Chiefs offense versus Chargers defense. Switching to the other side of the ball, the Chargers have an elite defense which will help them if their offense struggles. Here's what makes their defense so strong. #1 scoring defense, allowing just 15.7 points per game, second best on third downs, second best in the red zone, 6th in sacks, with 36 this season, 17 takeaways. Ranking them in the top half of the league, the Chiefs' offense will need to step up to overcome this tough defense, especially if the Chargers' offense isn't at full strength. Chiefs offense versus Chargers defense. A deeper dive. The Chiefs' offensive line faces a big challenge this week. If you thought the Raiders' pass rush was tough last week, the Chargers' defensive front will be even harder to handle. They have stars like Khalil Mack, Tuli Tuipilotu, Bud Dupree, and Joey Bosa. Although Dupree is nursing a heel injury, he's expected to play. Thankfully, the Chiefs are making adjustments. Matt Derrick from Chiefs Digest reported that DJ Humphries is expected to start at left tackle. Andy Reid hasn't confirmed it, but this is good news. Humphries doesn't need to be perfect. Just providing average left tackle play will be a big improvement over the struggles of Donovan Smith and Kingsley. The right side of the line looks solid too. Jawan Taylor is on the injury report with a knee issue, but he practiced fully on Friday. As long as he avoids penalties, the Chiefs should be fine on that side. Changes since their first matchup. A lot has changed since the first game between these two teams. Back then, Rashee Rice, the Chiefs' top receiver, was injured early in the game. DeAndre Hopkins wasn't a Chief yet. Kareem Hunt was still getting acclimated after replacing Isaiah Pacheco, who was out with an injury. Now, the Chiefs' offense is much more settled. Hopkins had an impressive game last week, with 4 catches for 90 yards and drawing 2 defensive pass interference flags. Hunt has also found his rhythm, creating a perfect one, 2 punch with Pacheco in the backfield, exploiting the Chargers' weakness in the run game. The Chargers' defense is strong, but they have a glaring weakness, stopping the run when facing heavy tight end sets. According to stats shared by Mina Kimes, the Chargers rank last in the NFL in yards per carry against multi-tight end formations, 27th in success rate against the run in these situations, 31st in EPA per play when teams run with 2 or more tight ends. This is big for the Chiefs, who use 2 or more tight ends 52% of the time, the most in the NFL. With Kareem Hunt and Isaiah Pacheco leading the charge, the Chiefs have a real opportunity to dominate on the ground. Pacheco showed his explosive potential last week with a 34-yard run, the Chiefs' longest of the season. If the Chiefs establish the run, they can avoid situations where Mahomes has to drop back 46 times like he did last week. A strong run game will also open up the passing attack. Key players to watch: Travis Kelce. Kelce has been reliable, recording at least 60 yards in 5 of his last 6 games. Noah Gray. Gray has quietly contributed, averaging 4 catches for 50 yards and scoring 4 touchdowns in his last 3 games. Worthy. His biggest play of the season was a 54-yard touchdown against the Chargers in their first matchup. Replicating a deep ball like that could stretch the Chargers' defense again. Hungry for a win, Chiefs versus Chargers. The Chiefs are eager to prove themselves on Sunday Night Football, and fans are starving for a convincing win. The Chargers' secondary is loaded with talent, including Derwin James, Christian Fulton, and rookie Tarhe Still, who had 2 interceptions against the Falcons last week, one of which resulted in a 62-yard pick six. Mahomes needs a clean game. After a rocky start to the season, Patrick Mahomes has turned things around. Since the DeAndre Hopkins trade, Mahomes has thrown 13 touchdowns to just 3 interceptions over the last 6 games. However, he'll need to play a mistake-free game against this elite Chargers defense to secure a win. The Chiefs have some advantages going into this matchup: home field advantage, improved offensive line play with DJ Humphries expected to start at left tackle, the dynamic 1-2 punch of Kareem Hunt and Isaiah Pacheco in the run game, Travis Kelce's consistency — he always plays well against the Chargers. If the Chargers' star wide receiver, Ladd McConkey, is limited, their offense could struggle. Even so, Justin Herbert is a top-tier quarterback who can make plays, especially against a defense that's been exposed by rookies like Bryce Young and Aiden O'Connell. Still, the return of Charles Omenihu and the continued dominance of Chris Jones, CEO of Sack Nation, gives the Chiefs a solid chance to pressure Herbert. Score prediction. This game has the makings of a defensive slugfest, with the Chiefs' rising offense clashing against the Chargers' elite defense. If Kansas City wants to win, they must improve their red zone efficiency. They've only scored touchdowns on 30% of red zone trips in the last 2 games. Prediction: Chiefs 21, 17 Chargers. Here's hoping it's not another nail-biter and instead a comfortable win. Special teams impact. Special teams could play a key role in this matchup. The Chiefs are now on their 3rd kicker in a month, with Matt Wright stepping in after Harrison Butker and Spencer Schrader were placed on IR. Additionally, the punt return situation is uncertain.